Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Drop a Stitch podcast.
I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm your other host, Natalie.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Well, Christmas is past.
I
but
know,
Merry
but
Christmas again.
Merry Christmas again. I hope you guys had an amazing holiday.
Yes. And that you're all stuffed with food. Somewhat rested.
Somewhat.
That
holiday hangover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holiday hangover.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yes. We're not going to delve too much into how our holidays went this year because we're saving that for next episode, which will be the first episode of next year.
Of 2023.
So rude to say this.
I know. We're so excited.
I know. And we'll kind of do a recap on our year and goals and plans for next year. So we'll save that for the next episode. Mm-hmm. But today we're going to talk about...
We are going to be talking about how to start knitting or crochet, where to start, and everything that you need to know as a beginner when you want to start from zero to knit or crochet.
Yes.
Okay, so
let's get into it. To start off, what supplies do you need to get? Because that's usually where you start, is what do I need?
Yes, you go to this big yarn store or craft store and you are in front of the amazing yarn aisle and there is so much to choose from. And then you go to this section where you have all the crochet hooks and all the knitting needles and you're like, I'm just gonna pick the cheapest one, or I'm just gonna pick whatever.
It's extremely overwhelming when you have no idea what you're doing.
Yes, and we know that because we have been there.
Yes.
And we have a few tips to give you for your first trip to the craft store.
Yes. So first, obviously, let's start with the fun stuff. You need yarn.
Of course, you need all the yarn, and we're not going to tell you to get one skein. Get whatever you want, girl, because, you know, you need all the yarn in the world, and you deserve all the yarn in the world.
Yes. But if you already know what you're making, figure out how much you need and buy enough of the same color.
Yes, we explained that in the last episode.
Yes, where we talked about how to read a yarn label and understand what everything does and how it all goes together.
So we hope you already listened to that episode and you're super informed of what yarn you should get.
But aside from what you can find on the yarn label, tips on yarn, you ideally want to start with a project that you're using a bigger yarn. So probably a number 5, which is bulky, or a number 6, which is super bulky.
Yes. So I always say to my, I'm going to say students, because they kind of are, never go below worsted weight. I wouldn't even recommend worsted.
The bigger the yarn, the easier it will be to see your stitches and what you're doing. So if you're starting out, go with... I think between a 4 you could do, but I would highly recommend a 5 or a 6.
Yes. Next is the color. Believe it or not, the color is super important.
Yes.
Why? Because if we are doing a project with a black yarn, you will most likely not see your stitches.
Yes. I mean, we struggle finding stitches in black yarn. So... lighter colored yarn
always
are ideal to start. It's easier to see. You don't need the greatest light. Wherever you are, you can very well see your stitches, and that makes it a lot easier when you're unsure, especially in crochet, because in crochet you have to go through. So it's a lot easier to see. Knitting it doesn't matter as much, but if you're worried you drop a stitch, or if you need to do anything a little bit as you're progressing in your learning journey, if you're trying to do like knit 2 togethers or purl 2 togethers, it's a lot easier if you can properly see your stitches. So bigger yarn, lighter yarn color.
And we're not saying to sorry, that's my phone. And we're not saying to get pure white yarn.
No.
You could use a creamy color, or even like any other light, like I say light color, but
bright colors too.
Bright color. All I'm saying is avoid black grays, navy,
dark grays. Light grays are fine.
Yes, dark grays, like charcoal, like dark grays, dark browns, but any medium to light color, you're fine, or bright color, you're fine. Just avoid those very dark colors that they're gonna be hard to see the stitches. And also, we didn't talk about this before, but I just, by looking at my yarn, colors that are super variegated, like super different.
Try to find a solid color to start with. It'll be a lot easier than if there's a lot going on.
It's going to be easier for you to see the stitch. It's going to be easier for you to see where to place your hook. Sometimes too many colors in one yarn can be overwhelming.
Yes.
And you can miss a stitch or two, and we all know how that ends.
Yes. So yes. Then
wait, one thing before we go to the next point is that with the supplies, by getting the chunkier yarn, also get the appropriate crochet hook or knitting needle size.
Yes, and if you're starting out, I would highly recommend finding a pattern to follow before you buy your material so that you know what you will need. Everyone that knits and crochet will tell you your first project should be
a scarf.
It's a simple rectangle. It's easy. It makes you practice your tension. It makes you practice your stitch.
Because it's so repetitive, you are going to knit or crochet that over and over again. So like Natalie was saying, it's super helpful for you to practice the stitch over and over and over again. You don't need to increase or decrease. You don't need to do anything. Just the stitch that your pattern is telling you to.
And by the time you get to the end, I promise you that stitch will be muscle memory. You will know it by heart. You will know how to do it. And then you can move on to different stitches, which you can do a various scarves with a bunch of different stitches. And then as you get more comfortable with all the different stitches, then you can move on to a little bit more complicated projects in the round, like a hat or eventually a sweater.
Yeah.
But scarves are to go to.
Yes.
Blankets are also easy because they're also a square or a rectangle, but they can be a lot overwhelming if you're just starting out because they take a long time to make.
Yeah.
So scarf is the easiest.
And it's good because then you are realistic with yourself and you can finish that scarf within like a normal period of time, range of time, and that makes you like want to go for more. You're like, oh my gosh, I just finished the scarf and it's beautiful. I want to knit or crochet something else. Let me jump into the next project. But if you're making a blanket, you're gonna be, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. I'm never gonna finish this, and you're probably gonna put it down and never see it again.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the case, but most of the time we see better results when a new knitter or crocheter is starting with something small because they can finish and accomplish that and be like, oh my gosh, I want to do more.
It's all about motivation.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, I'm an experienced knitter, and I would say that I currently have probably 4 or 5 blankets that are sitting unfinished.
I have my temperature blanket, Luca's temperature blanket. Oh my god.
My 2022 temperature blanket, and keep in mind we're like December 28 today.
I know.
And I have not finished it. I still want to finish it though.
Yeah, I want to finish mine too. So
we should take bets if I can finish it in the next 3-4 days.
I probably won't, but yeah, I'm so excited. Well, I wanted to say what is my temperature blanket about, but I'm gonna save that for the temperature blanket episode.
Yes,
because there is, a new year, and every crocheter and every knitter is planning their temperature blanket, or 90% of knitters and crocheters that are starting, or at least thinking about it.
Yes.
So we want to do a full episode because we have the queen of the queens in here of the temperature blankets. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys more about that temperature blanket when we get to that episode, but let's continue with the supplies. So whenever you already have your pattern, they are telling you what materials to get, if you really think in your heart that knitting and crochet or crochet, it's something that you want to do long term, we highly recommend to get a crochet or knitting needle set.
Yes. I feel especially for knitting. With knitting, there's two aspects that you will want to look at for your needles. You'll want to look at the size of the needle, which is like its diameter. And then you'll want to look at the length of the cord on your needles. And this is talking about circular needles.
Yeah, I was going to say, please avoid straight needles.
Yes.
You
don't need them. You can do everything on circular needles. It will be much more easier for you. Listen, I can't knit with straight needles.
Oh my gosh.
I still have to tuck one in my armpit and knit like this.
It's horrible.
It's so much more complicated.
Yeah, don't do it.
Get circular needles.
Yes.
If you're getting circular needles, you'll need to check two things: the length of your cord and the diameter of the needles. And if you know that this is something you're going to stick with, I highly, 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 highly recommend getting an interchangeable needle set. What it is that you have your cords that are separate from your needles, and you can screw your needles onto your cords and unscrew them. So you can buy one set and get every single, most needle sizes and most cord sizes.
Yes.
And just interchange them. Whereas if you don't do that, you'll buy a 4mm on a 30-inch cord, and then you'll buy a 4mm on a 16-inch cord, and then you'll buy a 4mm on a 24-inch cord. And so you'll have all these 4mm, and then the next project you want to make needs 8mm on the 16, and you don't have that.
Yeah.
So the interchangeable saves that. So if you know this is something you're going to stick with, get the interchangeable circular needle kit. Is super important. If it's crochet, I never got a kit.
So for crochets, there's a lot of different sets, and basically because crochet is easier, it's one crochet hook, you could get them separately, and as you crochet and as you're making a pattern that calls for a different size, you can buy that specific size until you have every single size that you would like. But it's obviously cheaper if you buy the set, because you have like 10 different crochet hooks at once, and you basically in here you're saving money more than the knitting needles that you are needing more, like you said, the different cords and the different size. It's just, then you would be wasting a lot of money.
Saving money is number one factor for the knitting needles. The ease of having everything you need. Crochet hook, not necessarily as much. As I said, I don't have a crochet kit.
It's not completely necessary, but you could save a few dollars if you buy this set.
Plus, they're nice.
It's nice to have all in the same, brand, style, category, whatever. But I am a crochet hook hoarder, so I will get every single crochet hook that I like, no matter the size. If I have a 5.5 that I use the most, and I see another one that's 5.5, I'm gonna get it because they're all different.
Yes.
With knitting needles, okay.
We can do another podcast for the differences in the different materials.
That's what I was going to say.
Because we're going to go on forever on this.
Okay, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. You read my mind, because, yes, there are different styles, different materials, and we're going to get into in another episode, because, like Natalie said, there's a lot to cover with different materials. But, yes, so we highly recommend you getting a set, especially knitting needles, if you're planning to do this long term. And crochet hooks, not so much, but you could still save a few bucks. What was that?
Oh, sorry. I'm adding this to our list of podcast ideas, and it just buzzed on Nanny's phone.
Like I said, you can still save a few bucks if you get the set, but it's not as important as the knitting needles.
Yes.
Okay, so you got your supplies, you got your yarn. Now, how do you learn how to knit or crochet? There's different things that you could do. Mostly nowadays, you can find pretty much everything for free.
Yes, on YouTube, but then that kind of depends on your style of learning.
Yes.
Some people are able to learn online by looking and copying. Some other people are, I guess, more insecure would be the word, and need the reassurance of having someone say,
Telling you.
did it right, yes, no, go in there, especially for like crochet instance, like where to put your hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the two main ways would be either
Video tutorials or in-person classes.
Yeah, and in-person classes could be like your grandma teaching you, or your mom, or your aunt, or anyone you know.
Friend.
Or most yarn stores have classes that you can take.
Yeah. Do they still do that though?
I'm not sure if like Michael's per se does.
After the pandemic?
Yeah, a lot of...
Pandemic?
Yes, a lot of craft stores or like yarn stores do. There's one that I go to, and yeah, I got the email that they've now opened their classes.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, so depending on what your style of learning is and your level,
sure.
I mean,
there's also courses, so many out there that you can pay, and I want to separate this from tutorials and patterns. A course is something that is, like the word says, it's a course. It goes from 0 to 100. In one course, you're gonna learn every single little thing that you need to make the project. A tutorial is only showing you how to make that project or that stitch or whatever. It's not gonna teach you, some of them will, but not all of them are going to show you from the beginning, from the very beginning. So unless you are watching videos that are teaching you specifically the basic stitches, which most likely, because I've done those, they're going to go really slow. If you are just watching, I don't know, a hat pattern or a scarf, they're most likely gonna assume, and I'm telling you this because I do videos, I'm gonna assume that you already know how to do the basic stitches.
Yes. So
yeah,
depending on your learning style, figure out what works for you. The easiest way and the cheapest ways is to watch videos for a certain project.
Yeah.
Find a video for a scarf and try to see if you can do that. Anything that is, like Danny was saying, if the video is not super like in detail, if they're like make a single crochet, you can open another tab on your browser and find how to do a single crochet, find a different video, often from the same person, and figure out how to do it and be like, okay, and then go back to your tutorial. So I would say start there because it's free.
Yes.
And I mean, let's be real, we have Danny here, so start with her videos.
Of course. It's funny enough, I have some, random comments here and there. Mostly, I want to say 98% of the comments that people leave on my YouTube channel are super positive. But, you have here and there that person that, it's not happy with anything that you're doing. And I've had some comments, a few, on people saying like, oh, you didn't show how to do the decrease or the increase. And I do, like I do it at a normal pace, but it's just not slow enough for them, or they just don't know it. And I often say it at the beginning of the videos, or I put like a little disclaimer on the caption, but I often will assume that you know the basics.
Yeah. But that's something, if you're learning and if you're doing a scarf, you need one stitch, and then you're doing that the whole way, so it's not too bad. If you're doing something a little bit more complicated, then you need more than one stitches. But you can find the video and figure out how to do, let's say, a double crochet or a knit stitch, and then find a pattern that teaches you how to do the scarf, and then you already know how to do the stitch. Now you know how to do the scarf.
Yeah. For sure.
And you have all of those videos.
Absolutely. The other great way, if you are somebody, like Natalie was saying, that you need motivation, you need somebody there, find this new activity that it's knitting or crochet, try to do it with somebody else. Try to do it with a friend, with your brother, sister, with the cousin, with an aunt, somebody that you feel comfortable and that you want to do it. Because oftentimes I'm like, okay, let's do this new thing, but I don't want to do it by myself.
Yeah, it's a lot less stressful if you feel like you have somebody with you. And also if, let's say, you and I were to take a class of something random that we decided to do together, and I like zoned out or didn't pay attention to one section and you did, like, then you can help me, and same
Yeah.
with me for the other way around. So having a buddy is always very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And if you can find, if you're just learning and you can find someone that knows a little bit about it, whether
Even
that's
better.
through Instagram, someone that you build a relationship with, and then work up to being able to ask questions and like, hey,
Yeah.
is this correct or not? Or it's through your family or someone's family, or like, you know, maybe your friend's mother knits and maybe she can
Yeah.
help you, and like while being mindful of not like expecting them to do everything for you and teach you everything, because they might not want to, but like if you get stuck and you're like, oh no, I think I dropped a stitch, I don't know what to do, and you can go to that person and be like, hey, can you help me, I think I did this. And your local yarn store, like a lot of, I mean, pretty much everyone that works in a yarn store knows yarn
yeah.
and knows how to knit and
For
knows how to
sure.
do projects, and they're not going to teach you everything for free because obviously they're working and they need to serve customers. But if you go, especially if you bought your yarn there and you're like, hey, I came in and I bought this yarn, I'm trying this and I don't know what to do with this, they'll
Yeah.
help you.
For sure. Like even today, we are, I want to say, advanced
Yeah.
knitters and crocheters. Even today, we ask each other questions.
Yeah.
Like I ask
And
Natalie
this is not once in a while. This
all
is like
the time.
every week.
Oh yeah, every single
Hey,
week.
you're here. What about this?
Yes, for sure, absolutely. Like every single week, we're asking each other questions and what do I do in this situation? And how do you do this? Or how do you do this stitch? Or does this look better than this other one? And things like that. I feel like it's always helpful whenever you have somebody to ask these kind of questions.
Yeah.
And like Natalie said, even if it's in person or through Instagram or Facebook, even Facebook, there's
Yeah.
groups.
There is groups.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I'm on a few of the groups.
Yeah.
And often people will post a picture and be like, hey, I'm doing this. Is this right? Or this is a different pattern. I'm not
Yeah.
going to obviously post the whole pattern, but here's a screenshot of a small section.
Yeah.
I don't know what this means. Can you
Yeah.
help me? And
Oh,
then
yeah.
other people will explain or link videos and be like, oh, look at this. This is how you
Yeah.
do it. And then like that's how you learn and you grow. Like
Facebook groups are great for that.
for questions and everything,
Yeah.
yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
So look.
And there's always somebody that's there like 24/7.
Yes, because we're all in different time zones and have different bedtimes
Yeah.
and stuff. But no, that's a great way to get help. And it, even if your friend or your buddy person or your grandma or whoever it is not close to you, like we all have relatives that live far away, you can FaceTime them and be like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this. And,
Nowadays,
like,
there's so many ways
like,
to connect
yes,
with people.
My aunt, actually, I taught, she kind of already knew how to knit, but I taught her and helped her to make a hat. And I was like, I gave her all the info, I gave her the pattern. I was like, hey, now make one on your own. And she was making it, and she's like, I'm confused. I don't know how to do this. So I filmed myself very quickly with my phone, stuck it in my bra, and filmed myself doing the part she was stuck on.
Yeah.
And then sent her the video, like, through Instagram, just
Yeah.
quickly like that. And she was like, oh, okay, this is so helpful. And like, I talked in the video and I was like, hey, this is where you're at. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And just thought her. And she's like, okay, got it. Thank you.
Oh my God.
So like, it doesn't, you don't have to be in person. You
Yeah.
can very easily ask anyone that you know. And
or even as we have sent pictures before and
Yeah. yeah. And like, I'll have people message me on Instagram and be like, how do you like do this? And like, obviously it's harder because, I mean, people can't expect us to make a full video tutorial for every time they have
Yeah.
a question. But like, if I can answer quickly by explaining it, I will. And then most times that answers a question and that's good.
Yeah.
But I think a video tutorial is the greatest way to start. If you can find, even better, a pattern, like your patterns,
Yeah.
where you have them written on your blog,
Yes.
and then you have the video tutorial.
Yeah.
So you can print it out and bring it to someone if you need help. But you can also watch the video and see someone making the exact thing that you need.
Yeah.
Is like the best case scenario.
Yeah, I think yeah, like you said, that's the best options. And
So before we continue, tell us where they find your
Oh,
videos.
so you can go to YouTube, and if you're listening on YouTube, you can just type CJ Design blog, and you're gonna find all my content is for free,
Yes.
except if you want the ad-free PDF pattern, that's paid.
Yes,
I already,
but it's not very expensive.
it is not. It's only $5.
Yeah.
But I often have people also saying like, "Why are you saying that this is free when it's not free?" And I'm like, it's free on my blog with ads.
Yes, if you want the nice printer-friendly version, then it's
with
$5.
no ads in between, then yeah. But you can find all my videos. And funny enough, what I was telling Natalie before we started recording is that I record my videos, I upload them, and I'm like, oh, will this look good enough? Will people understand what I'm trying to say? Is this angle good? And I always question myself, and then I upload it, and I have so many hundreds, thousands of people saying on every single video, oh my gosh, they are amazing, you taught me so good, I learned how to knit or crochet with your videos, and that just fills my heart. Like, I cannot explain to you guys how that is the answer of why I do what I do.
You're making a tiny army of knitters and crocheters.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, you can find my blog. It's cjdesignblog.com, or on YouTube it's CJ Design blog as well. And there you can find a bunch of free knitting and crochet tutorials.
And I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the simplest knitting project and crochet project that they should start with that you have?
Oh my gosh, Natalie. So okay, I have the Andes beanie. It's
okay.
A half, we debated the name of the stitch before. It's a half double crochet slip stitch, or at least that's what I called it, and you said it's a loop yarn over slip stitch.
Yes.
It's very simple. If you know how to do yarn over
that's
slip
the
stitch,
crochet version.
That's the crochet version. The hat. And for a scarf, I have also the Andes scarf, which is it is infinity scarf, or the Amber blanket scarf, which is the one you helped me made last. It's only 2 stitches.
Yeah.
It's single crochet and double crochet, I believe. So if you know how to do those 2 stitches, you're good to go with that scarf.
And knitting wise?
And for knitting, I have a super simple basic hat for any new knitter to start learning how to knit in the round.
The maple beanie? No, that's not
the maple beanie too. That is extremely easy. It mimics, my goal with that beanie was to try to mimic or to make a dupe for the knitting machine beanies.
But hand knit.
But it looks like those.
Although that one's worse at weight, so if you arm yourself with a bit of patience. But which one were you going to say?
Yeah, that I have that simple knitting hat. The maple beanie is a great one because it's just knit all the way and you create like a pretty cool hat.
It's really nice.
Yeah. And then that for like a hat and scarves. Do I have a knitting scarf?
Well, this is the pattern. This is where you need to start next year. I feel like this is...
Let me see.
Okay, this is what you need to do this January, is create just a simple crochet scarf and a simple knit scarf.
That would... Wait, I'm actually like checking it because I'm like, how?
I'm sure you have one.
I'm sure too. Okay, cjdesignblog.com, knitting patterns.
This is the pat you need to go if you need to find it.
Yeah. Whoa, I have a cardigan, but okay, that's a little bit more advanced.
Give them a chance.
I know.
Scarf first, hat second, eventually work up to cardigan.
Okay, so I have a super... Wow, I cannot believe I don't have, like, what?
Okay, we'll remedy this situation.
I will give you guys all the knitting free patterns because there's no way. I have a super simple basic square blanket that you can make if you are a beginner. And then I have another tutorial because that's the basic blanket that I do for my name or personalized blankets, which has the baby's name on it with a duplicate stitch and whatnot. But if you just want to make the basic blanket, you find that on my blog. And also I have the video tutorial and all of that. But I cannot believe I have another neck warmer. I don't have a scarf though. What?
You don't have any scarves, girl.
What?
Okay, we will remedy this and update you guys in a future episode once we have
I'm
scarves.
shocked.
Danny, you need to fix
What?
this and give us all the basics. I was counting on you on this one.
Oh my god. This is like a very good eye-opening. How in the world? This is not right, guys. Okay, I promise I'm going to give you all in like basic too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to, yeah, for sure. There's no way.
Yeah. We're gonna remedy this and update you in a future episode.
Yes.
But basically, find a YouTube tutorial. Start there. Find a friend to help you, whether that's someone that you know closely or not, whether that's a yarn store employee, whether that's someone that you've built a relationship in the community through Instagram, whether that's a Facebook group. Find someone to help you reassure you and confirm that you're doing it right.
Get your supplies.
Get your supplies. We want thick yarn, bulky or super bulky,
Light color.
light or bright colors. We don't want anything dark. If you're using needle and plan to continue with this, get a circular needle kit. And if you want to save money on your crochet hook, get a kit. If not, just pick whatever hook you like and looks good.
And yeah,
That's about the basics.
That's how you start in the crochet or knitting world. And once you get into girl, or
the options are endless.
Oh yeah.
You will get hook.
Yeah.
You will have a yarn stash. You will need a room.
Yeah.
For your knitting.
I'm just looking around. In
Unless
here.
you have a lot more self-control than we do.
Yeah, which if you are in this world, you probably don't.
You might at the beginning, but it will quickly go out the window.
Oh yeah.
There is such a thing as a yarn stash.
Well, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and it's so weird to say, but we'll talk to you guys in the next year.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
And we'll talk to you next week, next year.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.